Welcome to another episode of my show. I am Stacy Marie. Before I get started, I wanted to update you on my app. It's almost ready for you to download in Google Play Store and the Apple Store. Also, I'm launching a VIP group on Facebook to help you master the art of connecting with your local media. I'll share inside secrets on leveraging local media to boost your business visibility. For more information, go to my website at Stacy, and that is STACEY, Marie, MARIE.TV. Well, my next guest, you might have remembered him being on my past show. John D'Amico has the #1 tour in Hollywood. On his tour, he gives the history of rock and roll and takes you to the iconic venues and hotspots where the stories of your favorite singer and bands come to life. Book a tour with him by going to his website at rockandwalktours.com. Enjoy my interview with John D'Amico. Thank you, John, for being on my show today. It's been quite a while.
I'm really stoked to talk to you, man. A lot's been going on for, I think, both of us. So it's a good thing.
Yes, it is a good thing. It's been I would say maybe over 10 years since we've talked. That's been a long time.
Yes, it's been a long time, but we keep in contact, but actually sort of face to face like this, it's been a while. So it's here we are. We're still here and we're still grinding. You know what I mean? That's the part of life. You got to keep going and keep emotion. You know what I mean?
Absolutely. Absolutely. Yeah. I mean, the decor is a little bit different than I had before in my studio. And I was just thinking this morning that I should add black to my walls.
Yeah. I mean, all my walls are black, so I don't have to do anything. So anyways, it's great to see you. So what's up? Tell me what's going on.
Well, I wanted to hear what's going on with you. I know the last time you were a guest on my show, you weren't doing rock and walk tours. You were doing a variety of things, which I want to say congratulations, because what you're doing totally is you.
Yeah. Thank you.
And in time, sometimes in our own journey, that it takes us a long time to get there, to go, this is our purpose in life.
I 100% agree. And, I think everything I've done in my life has sort of led me to this. You know what I mean? So because I was, I played in bands and then I managed bands, then I was a stage manager for big bands, and then I worked for Kiss. And then, all these things that I did kind of led to me to go, maybe I could put this all together into something that people will enjoy. And, I live on the Strip. I live and breathe the Sunset Strip. And then I give my all to it. So, and I'm sure we'll be talking about it. So, yeah.
Yes, absolutely. But I mean, even with my own journey and yours, like sometimes we don't know what our purpose is in life. And then we do a variety of things, just like you have done. And it leads us straight, which you talk about, it leads us straight to our purpose in life. For me, John, I thought my purpose in life to begin with, I was like, I'm onto something when I was hosting my radio show, right? When I started in 2012. And then, things happened and I blame part of myself for that because, you're learning, you don't know anything. I didn't know about the radio industry, and it taught me a lot of lessons. And I actually got out of it heartbroken. And I was heartbroken. I felt like betrayed. And then I took several years off. I was a publicist, media consultant. And then in between that time, I had people tell me, like, when are you going to do your show again? We miss you. And I was like, I'll never do this again. But here I am.
Good. Here you are.
And I feel like when I started it up again a few months ago, I was like, this is home. This is where I need to be. This is where I belong. And this is my purpose. And it just keeps going and going. And I'm super happy. And I love and I want to say this briefly, is that I love following you on social media.
Thank you. It is what it is. It's who I am, what I do. And it's been, social media is either, it can be your worst enemy or your friend. And you just got to realize it's got to be your friend to be smart about it, you know? And I see so many people that they get jealous or angry or they just try to flow with it and try to put your best self out there. You know, my days aren't always perfect, but I try to put my best stuff out there because, you know, I'm in the service business of, you know, I take people on walking tours and I want them to enjoy and see what I do because I want to show people a good time. And I'm so glad you're back on doing what you're doing because, yeah, you do belong here. And it's always a journey. It's always ups and downs. I think life, to me, I've learned one thing as I've gotten older is it's pivoting. You know what I mean? You got to pivot. Boom, 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 boom. Okay, this happened, that happened, that happened. Okay, maybe this will lead me back to this, but you got to pivot. And if you don't pivot and see these roadblocks or things, you'll drown. You know what I mean? So I'm just glad that you're back to kind of doing what you're doing, and let's rock this thing. You know?
Absolutely. I want to ask you quickly because you've been doing this tours for, say, 7 years.
Yeah, yeah.
So
Huh?
I was going to
Yeah,
say,
I've
keep
been
on
doing
going
this for
7 years.
7 years. So I've been doing this 7 years. You know, I work for the band Kiss. I work for, first off, for your audience, if they don't know, I played in bands. I was kind of a known bass player. Everywhere on the Sunset Strip, I played shows, sold out shows. There was a band called Stalag 13. Blink 182, I remember opened for us one time. I remember going, who the hell are these kids? And then I did all that, and then I managed bands, but then I worked my way up to become a stage manager, and then I was a stage manager for Guns N' Roses, Alice in Chains, Three Doors Down, 3 Days Grace, Stone Temple Pilots, Avenged Sevenfold, Motley Crue, Creed, a bunch of bands. So I was in the music business. And then I had the opportunity to work for Kiss, for Gene Simmons and Paul Stanley. They had this arena football team, and somehow I landed the job as producing the photographers for Kiss because I was this known stage manager, which meant I had 5 photographers underneath me, and boom, we take all the shots of the football team, Gene and Paul, and all these things going on. And it was great. It's the Arena Football League. I don't know if your audience knows, it's American football indoors. It was cool, but only lasted 3 years. And I'm like, what am I going to do? Do I want to go back to stage managing, which I enjoyed, but it's a lot of travel. And I said, I live on the Sunset Strip. I know everyone here, and no one's doing a walking tour. Maybe I should be that person. And here I am. I started it. I mapped it out. I thought it out, talked to all my friends, got some knowledge, that stuff I didn't know, talked to publishers, people that lived here, people who even knew Jim Morrison. And here I am today. And I was just published. I just had an article in Rolling Stone magazine UK, which I couldn't even imagine years ago that I would be in print with them. So things are going really well. It's just, I would say to the audience, magazine UK, which you just got to grind. I couldn't even imagine and believe in yourself. That I would be, and because I've had people come and just, no, you're not going to do this. You can't. You just got to believe in what you're doing. It's got to be from the heart too. And I'm very passionate, as you can tell, of what I do. And whatever you're going to do, you got to be all in. Stacey, you know that. You got to be all in. But be ready to pivot when these things come at you and try to, I never thought I'd be doing a walking tour of all things. What? But I was a musician, all that. But I feel like this is where I should be. And it feels good because I'm bringing a lot of joy to people. So.
Well, and talk about pivotal, because you have to learn once, there's a roadblock that comes, you have to be quick on your feet and go, what am I going to do with this? Am I going to be emotional? Which is nothing wrong with being emotional, but you can't stay in that emotional state because you got to think, what's my next plan? What's my plan B that I got to jump into right now and make this happen, or I'm going to fail, or it's going to take me longer to get to the end of this road or the end of the journey or the next chapter of my life.
100%. And emotions. I'm Italian. I'm very emotional, so it's very hard for me not to be emotional. And then have people come, like I've had people take my tour and then try to steal my tour. I've had people do all the things that people do once you're starting to be successful. You have to navigate that. And you got to be smart about it. You know what I'm saying? It's just, it is what it is. But I'm the real deal in what I do. I'm at that, and I've lasted. And all these other people who've tried to do things behind my back, they're all gone. So it feels good.
Yeah, and we all go through that. I mean, but it's so great to just see like every day going on Facebook. Because it used to be, I would wake up and go on Facebook and I'm like, all right, what street is he, walking? Or actually, when you were jogging on
Yeah.
streets in Beverly Hills or wherever. And now it's like pictures of all these people that are coming in for outside the United States, across the United States, and
Yeah.
booking tours with you. And you've had quite the amount of people, in your tours. And you've seen
Yeah.
people too, some famous people during the tours.
Absolutely. I think one of the highlights was just a couple of weeks ago when a lot of because I'm on the Sunset Strip, a lot of my tour is about going to places and with about the Doors. And the other day I was at an art thing, I should say, an art event, and he was there and he was talking to people, and Robbie Krieger from the Doors, the guitarist, came up and said, I've heard about you, that you do a walking tour, and you see how fast I talk and all that. I was like dumbfounded. And I was just like, yeah, man. And I was just so cool to talk to someone I've been talking about. And he was so genuine, so kind, so nice, told me some cool inside stuff too that I tell people on my tours. And it was a real validation of what I do, because he wants the Strip to still be alive. He wants to still, things to still keep going. And I feel that I'm part of what we're trying to do with the Sunset Strip. Lean years, COVID screwed everything up. It did for everywhere, but it really hit us hard here. And so I feel like I'm one of the things that are kind of propping it back up, and it is getting a lot better, So things are kind of exciting. It's starting to, really kind of go again instead of festering in the low part. Things are, gravitating to a lot of fun. There's a lot of good bands coming out again. There's a different feel than I would even say from about 18 months ago. Completely different feel. It's people are excited again. You know what I mean?
Oh, absolutely. And I do have a question. So you doing these tours, knowing about these musicians, bands, what is the one thing that you have taken that you see repeated, like similarity between these famous musicians that you've noticed? I mean, is it that not their story or not that became the famous, but was it per what is it called, persistence in trying to become a musician?
I have to say this. People say, I'm going to take a question. I'm going to kind of go another way with this. People say,
Okay.
what turns you on more than anything in life? You know what turns me on? Talented people. Okay. Very talented people. And there are so many talented people here. And no matter how talented you are, you got to catch a break here and there. And a lot of these musicians have caught a break here and there, but it's because they've worked hard at it. You got to be persistent. You got to go hard. I'm going to give you an example. There's this girl, and I want your studio to keep an eye on her. Maybe you can put some visuals up of her. She worked at Barney's Beanery for the last 2 years. Barney's Beanery is where I start my tour. There's a lot of history there. She was a bartender there. It's a very famous place in West Hollywood. Her name is Katie Johnson, and she's in a band called Diner. Beautiful girl, just smoking, beautiful. And she's from Oregon, and she's down here, and she's just doing her thing. And I would talk to her, and then I'm like, God, she's got the look. I wonder if she has the songs. She's a country singer. And I'm like, oh my God, she's got the songs. Within the last 5 weeks, she was on Good Day LA, New York. They're calling her the next big country sensation. Remember, the name of the band is called Diner. She's a beautiful blonde girl. And she just quit Barney's Beanery. I saw her last night on my tour, and she's like, oh my God, I can't believe how things are happening. Because she was in Times Square with her picture, and they're saying this is the new hot thing. And I've seen this girl just bust her ass at Barney's Beanery and grind. She goes, yeah, I'm moving to Nashville. This is the next step. So it does happen. Dreams do come true, but you got to work hard at it. And she never not worked hard at it. She played out, she bartended. You got to work hard. Especially now, you can't just get away with being cute. You got to have it all. You know what I mean? So whatever you do, you've got to believe in yourself. You got to have some talent. You got some hooks in your songs. That's the one thing I like to tell people. You got to have some hooks. People got to be able to gravitate towards something. And if you notice that most bands, I wouldn't say all bands, but most bands have some type of hook in their song where, we're somewhere else and we're like singing "I'm a Believer" or something. You know what I mean?
Mhm.
So yeah.
That mindset is everything to what your success is going to be in life, your
Yes,
mindset.
absolutely. And sometimes you feel like you're drowning. Like I was saying earlier, you can feel like you're drowning and you just got to try to lift your head because especially here in LA, Nashville, anywhere, or New York, or wherever, it's people are coming at you because if you're starting to be successful, they're going to start trying to gravitate or grab on you or try to keep you down because it's the big pools. So many people come to LA, they're the big fish in the little pond, and they come here and they get eaten alive.
Yes.
What's that? Yes. And let me give you a stat of just LA that I know. Every month in LA, and this is a stat before COVID, so I don't know exactly what it is now, and things are still a little weird. Before COVID, 25,000 people would move to LA, okay, to get in the entertainment business, music, films or whatever.
Mm-hmm.
25,000 people would leave a month, okay, because they weren't making it. And the average time people stay here is 27 months. So you got 2 years and 3 months or 4 months to make it, or you're pretty much out of here. That's the average. So it tells you how things. And I've seen people come here, they think they're gonna kill it, and they get eaten alive because it's very hard. So, and you can have everything going for you, you still might not make it. I can't, you can't put a bow around what's the secret because there's really not a secret sauce. Does that make sense?
Well, it totally makes sense. Just the other day, I talked to Michael Floral, and he's from the band from in the 80s that their band was When in Rome.
Oh
And their
yeah.
song, The Promise, which is the end of Napoleon Dynamite. And actually, their song became #1 on the Billboard charts in 1987. 87?
Okay.
Yeah. And I was talking with them because, just to kind of get him some just feedback on what he thinks, because as you know, I'm working with a pop singer out of Nashville. And
Right.
we were talking about that. And he said, so when I said she wants to be on a major record label, he was like, everyone wants to be on a major record label,
Absolutely.
but not many. And it's like a very few that get to be signed on to whether it's Sony Music or the other two.
Sure.
And he was giving me encouragement, like, just like good luck in you helping her. Because it's hard, and it's harder now than it was back then.
I I agree. What people don't, realize, I mean, I'm sure you probably know this, but even for major records, 9 out of 10 records that they put out bomb,
Yeah.
no matter who they are. And they latch onto that one person out of the 9 out of 10, 1 out of 10 hit, and that kind of pays for all the rest of it. So you still don't know. Even if you're on a major record, it still doesn't mean you're going to make it, but it's tough. You know what I mean? You kind of have to have it. Like, I believe in the hit factor thing. You have to have an it factor, And I for instance, this girl, Katie, she still might not make it, but I think she's got a really good shot. She's got it all put together, but it's still so hard because it just, there's social trends and, what people like and it's a lot harder than people think.
Yes, absolutely.
Yeah.
I do want to ask you this. I feel that the music industry is about ready to take off even more because I feel, no, I could be wrong, but I feel there was a few years that we didn't have really any good music come out.
Yeah. Yes, I agree. And it's funny because I'm told myself I'd never do management again, but there's this band that I'm looking at that the guy plays behind his head. They're just unbelievable musicians, and they got hooky songs, and they're like talking to me. I'm like, maybe I can, do a showcase that for them in the bike room or something, because they're really good. And I think what was interesting about it is they really didn't do much because of COVID except write songs. So they're smart enough to write songs, but they couldn't really record or anything like that. So it's an interesting thing. So anyway, so there's, you never know with things. You know what I'm saying?
Yes, absolutely. So your tours are every day, if I'm correct. Are you doing morning tours, afternoon, or just night? Tell us. Tell me.
So when I started, I was actually walking this guy in the morning, this guy who lives up the hills. Plus I was doing 2 tours a day, afternoon and evening. And I was working 7 days a week. I don't do really afternoon tours anymore because I really don't need to, and I don't work Sundays anymore just because it's a little slow on the strip, and I like to see my wife every once in a while because she works
Right.
all day and I'm gone at night. So it's Monday through Saturday. I'm doing evening tours. I will do afternoon tours, private tours. What happens is a lot of people take my tour. And then, like I tell them, you're going to start this tour, you're going to be a tourist, and by the end, you're going to be a local. You're going to know what's going on here. Then if you want to go deeper, they're going to want to come back. Like I say, you got your brown belt, you're going to get your black belt next time. So a lot of people come back and they book afternoon tours or special event tours with me. So that's what I do during the day sometimes. But the evening tour starts at 5 o'clock every night, and it's about 3.5, 4 hours. It's not a short tour. And we walk about 4.5, 5 miles. And you really get to see the trip from the stuff you expect to stuff that you're like, I had no clue. And then the final place I actually take you is actually where all the movie stars or rock stars really hang out that no one knows about. I'm not going to even reveal it here. You have to take my tour. And then when I take you there, your minds get completely blown. And I that's why I have, like, I'm the #1 tour on TripAdvisor. I was in Forbes magazine, like I said, Rolling Stone, shout out LA. There's all these articles because I'm the real deal. I live on the strip. We even go by my house has some history where I live. And, and then I know everyone on the strip. So when you're on my tour, you're like, okay, here's this guy, here's this guy, here's this guy. And some of them are very famous people. And the joy I get out of this is it's kind of Disneyland for adults. Their eyes just get really big when I put them in a room that they don't expect things that happen there. And they're like, and that's what I get, a real kick out of.
So how do the people react on your tour when somebody comes in or you guys pass somebody famous and they're like, damn, that's a guy from the
Right.
Doors. How do they
So,
react?
so here, it's funny you say that. So, one of the first things I do, I meet him at this place called Barney's Beanery, and I have a talk with him. I say, look, there's a possibility that you're going to see some or many very famous people on this tour. You can't blow it. Okay, you can't blow it with him. If I have an in with him, of course I'm going to introduce you. I've introduced him to there's a couple rap stars that I know that people are like blown away. A couple kind of famous musicians. I don't want to reveal it because when we go on my tour, I like to surprise people.
Right.
But
Yeah,
sometimes you'll see Priscilla Presley. You'll see Roger Daltrey. You'll see all these type of people, big people. I think the one person I always found interesting that people kind of were like, lose their mind. And for some reason, I've had two guys lose their mind. It was Roger Waters from Pink Floyd. I don't know why. And I'm like, they saw him and they're walking up to like, hey man, you can't just walk up to these people. You know what I mean? You got to play it cool.
yes.
You gotta act like you're there. But it's the effect that they actually see these people in their environment where they feel comfortable because people are coming up and bugging them. Do you know what I mean? So that's the first talk I have with them. I've had people blow up. One time I saw this girl saw Miley Cyrus and she's almost lost her mind. It's okay. Miley Cyrus gets that every day and she was nice and all that, but it's got hell. The other day, Taylor Swift was on my tour. We were at a location and I had these Scottish tourists and I'm like, yeah, Taylor Swift's over there. And they're like, yeah, we could tell. But the place we were at, everyone was playing it pretty cool. And, but for Taylor Swift to be there, and it was interesting because her bodyguards kind of like, you couldn't really tell they were bodyguards. They're just kind of big guys with hats and they were very mellow. But she kind of blended in this place where a lot of people didn't realize she was there. And that's the kind of stuff you see here in LA that you won't see anywhere else. Everyone kind of leaves other people alone, but it's a real thrill for people. You know what I mean?
But I mean, a lot of the artists or famous people, like they just want to have an evening to enjoy without
Oh,
fans and everyone like just bombarding them and coming up to them. They want a peaceful life. I mean, it's got to be hard for them at some level to be like always being talked about in the news, Entertainment Tonight, in People magazine. I mean, they don't have private lives. And look at Taylor
but
Swift. His whole
uh,
life, her whole life is all
right.
private.
But
I mean, public.
that the funny thing is, I mean, that comes with the territory. I mean,
Yes.
hey, this is what you kind of are, and I think most of them know that. You see all these things, people blowing it and all that, but some of these stars, but everyone here is kind of chill. And so when I it's very fun to take someone. Let's say I had some people from Finland last night on my tour. And we were sitting with a rap star that they go, that kind of looks familiar. And then of course I showed him who he is today, and they couldn't believe it. And if he came up and he talked to him and he was nice, they knew his face, they just didn't know who he was. And they're like, I can't believe he was so cool. And I'm like, it's because we're in LA. He knows what I do. I know him personally, and he's cool with what I do because he knows, and he'll take pictures, and he took pictures with him. He's cool with it because I've got cool people on my tour. They're not going to, maul him or nothing. Does that make sense? And it shows a lot of integrity on his part. And, not to like self-graduate myself, but, I've earned this respect from a lot of these artists that are like, you're kind of the cool guy doing this. And if they're with you, we're going to be okay, because I'm not going to let any BS happen to them. Does that make sense?
Oh, it totally makes sense. And you know what these artists want from their fans or new people when they see them. And it's so great that you've had the opportunity to build your reputation and who you are in what you do to gain all of that, because it does take a long time to build that reputation and build those relationships with people, whether they're stars or not, or musicians.
And not just that, it's a lot with the venues too. It's like the venues have been so good to me, letting me do what I want. But, you remember, this is rock and roll. And sometimes you walk into a situation and someone's having a bad day. And I have to read that situation and say, hey, what's up? And they're like, or whatever. And try to navigate, pivot around that and say, it's cool. I get it, and go. And then the next day, that same person might be in the best mood because, this is a crazy place. There's a lot happening here all the time. So it's a lot of fun, but everyone thinks I just walk around and I'm Mr. Happy and everyone knows me. I have to read things within about 5 seconds sometimes. How's this, person doing tonight or whatever? 90% of the time people are cool, but we all have bad days, and sometimes the last thing you want to do is see me with a bunch of people, when they're dealing with something probably heavy, you know what I mean? So,
yes.
So
absolutely. Well, the one thing that I caught my eye on Facebook, I was like, what? So you're part of the WeHo Chamber of Commerce, correct?
Correct. Yeah. I'm with the
And
chamber.
I saw you hold what was it, for Woody Harrelson's business last year or the year before?
It was 2 years ago. I do all the ribbon cuttings for the city, which means, a business opens, they put the ribbon, they have the cutting. Yes. I usually hold the ribbon, and it's a lot of fun. I mean, because I get to know the business people and all that. And in this case, it's owned by Woody Harrelson and Bill Maher. It's a cannabis store called The Woods, and there's a lot of cannabis here. There's a lot of cannabis everywhere now, but there's a lot of stores here. What's cool about their stores, they have like they have gardens, and they have fish, and they have lizards, and they got parrots. They got stuff to look at. I'm not even a cannabis person, and it's super cool. You know what I mean? And Woody was not. He could have been nicer. He was thrilled, and everyone's thrilled. And again, it's the situation you're in. Again, this is West Hollywood, and we see so much of this that everyone's kind of chill. You know what I mean? And I think that's a lot. I try to teach my guests is, man, if you just kind of blend in and cool, a lot of doors are open for you. I always tell my guests too. I think it's kind of funny that a lot of them don't know. And this is a little hint for your guests, whether they see me or not, is if you come to LA, if you wear all black, you can pretty much get in anywhere. Okay. We don't. Ooh. Yes. Yeah. So if you wear all black, I can pretty much get you in anywhere in LA. If you don't, you won't. It's just how LA is. I think New York's like that too, but I know it's especially LA just because we want to live in, it's 72 degrees here and we want to be in comfort, but you got to look a little bit nice. Does that make sense? So it's funny. That makes sense. So for anyone who's watching this, you want to go anywhere in LA, pretty much, you go to the top places. You just got all black on and look halfway decent, they'll let you in. Okay. You don't have to be all dressed up. And so it's interesting, right?
That is interesting because I just came back from Nashville, right? And when I was
Yeah.
in Nashville, they're like, thank God you're not dressed like a cowgirl because then we
Yeah.
would know that you're a tourist. And I was like,
Exactly.
what? I was like, and they're like, we know what
Exactly.
tourists are, when they come to town because they're dressed up like cowgirls or cowboys in their hat and boots. And I was like, well, that's not me.
Right. But it's kind of the same thing here. I'll give an example. On my tour, I always say wear comfortable walking shoes, obviously, because we walk a lot. You
Right.
don't wear heels or nothing. But I also don't allow any backpacks, any you can have a purse, but anything else you can't, because I can't take you in the venues with that. They don't want that shit in there. They don't want backpacks and anything. They don't want you pulling out a big camera or nothing like that, or
That's nasty about
even
that.
even bad things happening because you have a backpack. So
Right.
you can always tell a tourist in LA if they're walking around with a backpack or something. You just don't wear that here, and that also makes you a target here. You know what I mean? Because people, okay, that's a tourist. So everyone in LA doesn't really carry that much on them. You know what I mean? You're dressed in black and all that. You can tell who's from LA kind of by that.
Well, I want to jump and ask you, name three restaurants that you recommend for tourists when they come out there for a week to eat
Um,
while they're out there.
which okay, some with I'm going to give you. I mean, there's a billion great
There's
restaurants
so
here.
many
I'm
of
going to
them,
give
but
you
what are
some
your
with
favorites
this.
that you recommend?
Yeah. So I started my tour at a place called Barney's Beanery. It has a lot of history there, a lot of rock and roll history, and it's a bar. It's one of the oldest places in all LA County. I think it's the eighth oldest continuously running restaurant in LA County. There's five of them, but you want to go to the one on Barney's Beanery on Santa Monica Boulevard in Westwood. This is where the Doors hung out, Janis Joplin, everyone. The food's good, and they have 67 TVs there, so it's kind of a fun bar to go to, just because for sports and all that, but all the rock and roll history. Also, you want to go to the Rainbow. The Rainbow Bar and Grill that is where rock and roll actually kind of began. And so, any rock and roll bar you've ever been to in your life is a copy of the Rainbow Bar and Grill on the Sunset Strip, and it's worth going in there. If you take my tour, I take you in there. I tell you all the little subtleties of it. Another place I would go is there's this place called State Social House, which is right up the street from here. Me too. Here, it's on the Sunset Strip, and it's what's interesting. The under part of it is one of the few places you can smoke in LA indoors, and that's where a lot of the rap stars. That's where I see a lot of the rap stars at. Dr. Dre and all that hang out there, and it's cool, and everyone's super cool there. But it's connected to another bar next to it. It's still State Social House where there is no smoking, and they'll have bands play, salsa dancing, comedians, and the food's real good. And the view of the Sunset Strip is remarkable, and the food's good. All three of these places have great foods. So off the top of my head, those three I would definitely hit. Another one maybe would be Dan Tana's. You probably have heard of Dan Tana's. It's right next to the Troubadour. That is where the Eagles formed and became a band. Very famous place, old school, kind of an old gangster type place. Fantastic.
Oh, wonderful. Oh my
Yeah.
gosh. Well, when I come out there, I know for years I've said I'm going to come out there. I am going to come out there soon.
Yeah.
I have to go out there for other stuff. I really would love to take your tour and try
Yes.
to get my family to come on it with me because I think it'd be a
Yeah.
lot of fun
Sure.
and a bunch of us. And oh my gosh, I am super excited. And I'm so glad that you and I get to hang out today and talk. And it's
Yeah.
been forever, it seems.
Yes. Well, thank you very much. It's just, it's so good to retouch, talk to you. And I want to make sure everyone gets my website. I assume you're going
Oh,
to
I was
post all.
going to say that. I'm going to
Thank
guest
you.
my show. I want to remind my audience, go to rockandwalktours.com. Hey, go to his tours. You'll love it. Just go. When you're out in LA, make that the number one destination to sign up and go.
And take my tour first thing. Then you'll know where to go and where not to go. You can tell I'm not going to BS you about anything. And I have one goal on the tour, and that's just to blow your freaking minds. That's all I want to do. www.walktours.com. I'm sure you'll put a thing up. But thank you, Stacy. You have a great day, and we'll talk to you. I'm looking forward to coming out here. Okay.
All right,
Much love,
bye.
honey. Okay.
Have a great one.
All right. Take care. Bye-bye.
Hello, bye.
Bye.